Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised. Individuals are innocent until proven guilty. Status of any allegations is current only as of filming. On this episode of Extreme Smuggling, go deep undercover into the world of illegal gun trafficking, where legal guns move into criminal hands.
You want to get into a war with somebody, this is the one you do it with.
Exclusive, never-before-seen undercover footage exposes the dark underbelly of a lucrative black market, where violent extremists plot to spread terror.
There's a van I want to blow up.
And criminals scheme new ways of hiding their weapons. Enter the secret world of the notorious gun traffickers and an arsenal of high-powered weapons.
They'll find anything they want.
And discover the ingenious methods they use to smuggle their deadly cargo across state borders.
Every day we're faced with new challenges, new schemes, new ways criminals will try to obtain guns.
The United States has more guns per capita than any nation on Earth. With over 300 million guns in private hands, America is armed to the teeth.
The United States is a culture of weapons and guns, and we at ATF fully understand that, and we want to keep the right of citizens to bear arms.
Legal gun ownership is protected by the Second Amendment.
Because you got to think, how was this country founded? We were hiding behind trees, and we brought our guns out of our houses shooting at the British as they come marching up in their red coats. So we've always had guns in our homes to protect ourselves.
But there is a dark side to gun ownership, the smuggling or trafficking of legal weapons into the hands of criminals.
There's nothing illegal about gun ownership and possessing a weapon. There is something illegal when an individual buys a gun for a criminal.
Illegal guns fall into the hands of dangerous extremists, criminals, and the mentally unstable, and fuel mass killings in our open society. A recent study revealed that 1 in 5 criminals say they can obtain a gun in 24 hours or less. Gun traffickers will risk heavy jail time and fines because the trade is so lucrative.
The firearms trafficker can make money by selling the gun over cost. We see between 30 and 50% markup on the original price of the weapon through illegal commerce.
Finding and stopping criminal trafficking falls to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF.
Anytime that we as an agency can identify a criminal pattern of weapons trafficking, we try to jump on it as fast as possible.
In 2010, the ATF learned from an informant about a gang of white supremacists selling stolen weapons and drugs in Omaha, Nebraska. They assigned an undercover agent to infiltrate this notorious hate group to put a stop to these illegal gun sales. The deep undercover investigation is called Operation Red Swastika.
The confidential informant introduced myself and a state and local undercover to Jason Hawthorne, who we called Skin, or who he called himself Skin.
Posing as an arms trafficker, the undercover meets Skin at a local bar to talk about purchasing weapons. The agent was wired with a hidden camera and recorded every word of the meeting. It was a ballsy and potentially deadly move because if exposed, he could have been killed on the spot.
Doing the undercover work, you are in there alone with multiple convicted felons, some violent.
Skin is a member of the Church of the Creator. He also commands a destructive gang of convicted felons with strong ties to United Aryan Soldiers and neo-Nazis.
The 4 or 5 guys that were in there were dressed in their red suspenders, which is some kind of sign for their unity.
A violent criminal, Skin was a 2-time convicted felon, already making good money selling illegal guns to criminals, gangs, and whoever met his price.
He knew that I was interested in guns, that I was a trafficker, and we talked about the machine guns that he was willing to sell to us. Their primary agenda was money.
Convinced that the undercover ATF agent was an illegal weapons dealer, Skin agreed to do business. They set up a second meeting for high-powered weapons and crystal meth.
First thing I saw when I walked into Jason Hawthorne's apartment was a red swastika flag. He was very proud of that flag. It was his centerpiece of his apartment. Waiting for one of his crew, Michael Davis Smiley, to also negotiate a price.
Well, those two are real good guns. I can unload those. These two are more hunting rifles, but like I can make money off those. It's more like 8 to 1,000.
I purchased 7 stolen firearms and over 5,000 rounds of ammunition.
The undercover agent had won Skin's trust. A second sale is set up quickly for the following week. This time, the location is in Skin's car.
For him, my credibility was the money in my pocket. He liked the amount of money I was paying for the firearms, the amount of money that I was paying for the methamphetamine.
All right. Cool. Oh, yeah.
Over the next several weeks, there are more weapon and drug sales. But Skin becomes increasingly nervous and paranoid and constantly monitors a police scanner. And then he reveals an even more nefarious plot to the agent.
One of my buddies is looking for something. I'm going to get him out of jail.
Skin confides in the agent about a plot to blow up the county
I'm
jail.
just going to take out the wall right there by the window. Okay, on the first floor.
But it gets worse. He asks the agent for explosives.
If there's a van I want to get. You just going to load the van up and then park it by the... If there's a van I want to blow up. Why do you want to blow up a van? Is in it. Oh, I see. You want somebody in it? I just wondered to see how much it's going to cost. I'll find out.
Until now, the gun buys have taken place on Skin's turf. But his twisted plans altered the equation. To protect their agent, the ATF set up a bogus apartment fully wired with surveillance equipment to use for all future transactions. Armed agents are stationed next door.
Okay, that's what you're talking about? Yeah. This is just one $50.
I'm purchasing a sawed-off shotgun and an ounce of methamphetamine from Jason Hawthorne.
In the apartment, the weapon sales slow, and the van plot is sidelined for lack of funds. Skin reveals yet another chilling plan.
Yeah, well, if I can find a regular job, I'll do it.
Skin asking me if I knew of places that he could burglarize.
Skin has run out of weapons and plans a new robbery. With the potential for violence and innocent lives on the line, the ATF quickly devises an endgame.
We can't allow him to continue to do these burglaries.
Cool. That looks good, too. Looks really...
Skin targets a house to burglarize that allegedly has plenty of guns and narcotics. The undercover agent pretends to go along with the scheme.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because normally I could do that.
So a plan was developed so we could take them down altogether.
The ATF sets up to arrest the gang the night of the robbery. They meet in the agent's apartment.
They're dressed in full SWAT gear. They have their firearms, their black masks, and they believe that they were getting ready to go do a robbery of an individual who had a large amount of narcotics. They were nervous. You can see them smoking methamphetamine. You can see Skin at the table devising a plan on who was going to be where, who was going to duct tape the individuals inside the home.
The undercover agent suddenly receives an unexpected call from his backup team.
What up, man? I got you. We're going. Bye. Bye.
My boss called me and advised the wire was down.
The undercover is now flying solo.
It did take things to a different level because my rescue team wouldn't be able to hear what was going on if something went bad.
If they spot his camera or his cover is blown, he'll have to contend with a dangerous mix of meth, adrenaline, and white supremacists alone. Coming up on Extreme Smuggling, Operation Red Swastika comes to an unexpected end as Skin and his gang are met by a heavily armed SWAT team. Omaha, Nebraska. An ATF undercover agent has infiltrated a white supremacist gang of gun smugglers. When the gang reveals plans to commit a home burglary, the ATF sets up a trap to take them down.
The crew was in my undercover apartment. They were loading their guns. I had two-way radios so they could communicate.
But the operation takes an unexpected and dangerous turn.
My boss gave me a call and advised me that my wire was down and that I was flying solo. It meant that the cover team could not hear and see what was going on inside the apartment. I went to the restroom of the apartment and tried to fix the wire, tried to reconnect it. I was not able to reconnect it. There was really nothing else you could do. It's not like you can stop the plan in the middle of it.
The undercover agent is now completely on his own.
This was the climax of the investigation, probably the most dangerous part of the investigation too. 3 of the 4 had been smoking methamphetamines. They all had guns on them. As I'm driving them to the location, my wire is still down. They were amped up, thinking they were going to do a robbery. So it was a very intense moment.
Cut off from his backup team, the undercover agent knew that any misstep on his part could get him killed.
The plan was for me to drive to a secure location where a takedown team was waiting for them.
The gang is poised to strike, but there's no house to rob. Only a group of heavily armed SWAT and ATF agents waiting in the darkness. As seen in this exclusive ATF arrest footage, the gang was no match for the overwhelming force of the takedown team. In the face of the indisputable video evidence against him, Skin pleads guilty, and the other 7 crew members fall like dominoes.
Skin received a 34-year prison sentence for narcotics trafficking and firearms trafficking. It was combined 147 years prison time for the 8 crew members. We took at least 20 guns off the streets. I don't know how you would put a number on the amount of guns that we stopped from putting on the streets by getting this crew behind bars. It was a good case. I was glad it was over when it was over. But, it was a good case.
While drugs are coming through our borders from Mexico, another contraband is going out in huge numbers: guns. In fact, 80% of all guns seized in Mexico are traced back to the United States. In response to the elaborate methods of detection utilized by Customs and Border Protection, gun traffickers are countering with their own new ingenious schemes. One daring approach used by many smugglers is a Houdini Act, crossing the border with gun-laden vehicles right under the nose of the law. But to succeed, they use techniques right out of a Bond film.
This is not something that's advertised in the yellow pages.
For the first time, this exclusive footage takes us inside a covert garage, specializing in converting everyday cars and trucks into contraband caravans with highly illegal payloads.
And the weapon would fit right in.
This job is for a gun smuggler who wants to conceal weapons for interstate trafficking. This client wants 3 motorized hidden compartments called traps, big enough to hold 2 automatic handguns and 1 pump-action shotgun. The engineer places the first trap under the steering wheel.
And the compartment will be right behind this piece, and then it'll just pull right back.
The second trap is in the console, just between the 2 front seats and behind the emergency brake.
What we're going to do is split this in 2, and we're going to have this part raise up. And this way we're going to have some space about 4 inches in here.
The third trap is the largest and most difficult to build, designed to conceal the shotgun beneath the rear seat.
We're going to be cutting this part out flat, and we're going to have a compartment approximately this size, and the seat will flip up first.
They'll be done on screw linear actuators on a series of switches.
Screw linear actuators are small motor-driven shafts. They can move in or out, up or down, and allow the client automated access to these secret chambers.
This is where the seat is, above the gas tank. So we'll have 1 actuator on each side with a metal frame around it to lift the entire front of the seat.
This here's the seat. And as you can see, we've hollowed it out to form a hiding spot for the shotgun, which will fit right in here.
The final step is for the engineer to decide on the location and type of switch that will be used to activate the traps.
It could be 2 switches or 1 switch.
The trap triggers can also be a keychain remote for the vehicle's existing standard buttons pressed in a secret order.
It's almost like a car safe with different combinations to trigger them.
For this client, the switches will be under the driver's seat.
The first switch, which can be operated with the right hand, will drop this down. So with my left hand, I can reach for a weapon or anything else by operating another switch. Another compartment in the center console will come up and reveal whatever was hidden there. Makes a very nice seal. It aligns up perfectly. Now, last is the seat back here. You can store a weapon, such as a shotgun. It can support over 400 pounds. It's set up to be totally undetected.
At the end of the installation, the trap builder admits that demand for his underground trade is rising.
It's increased. You're doing, 1 or 2 a month. I'm not here to question what their motives are. As long as they pay me, give you the money, that's all I want.
Coming up on Extreme Smuggling. An interstate merchant of death sells his deadly weapons on the streets of the Big Apple.
Really? Yeah. I can get Maz pump shotguns too. Pistol grips to small ones.
In the United States, when it comes to homicides, guns are clearly the weapon of choice. In New York City, almost 6 of every 10 murders involves a firearm. And in spite of having some of the nation's strictest weapon laws, gun crime is on the rise, a direct result of the city's thriving illegal weapons black market. 85% of the illegal guns are smuggled in from out of state, and preventing the guns from getting into the city is a job of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. ATF agents break open a new case called Operation Brady, a fast-breaking gun smuggling investigation using straw buyers to purchase guns in Alabama, then selling them to criminals in the Big Apple to be used in crimes. Gun traffickers with criminal records figured out a way to purchase legal weapons from gun dealers by having someone with a clean record buy the guns for them. These illegally purchased guns could then be sold for 3 times the price on the black market. When ATF got a tip from an informant that guns were being sold on the streets of New York, they decided to investigate.
This case began with a confidential informant purchasing 2 firearms at our direction from an individual in Brooklyn, New York. Those firearms were subsequently traced.
Tracking these 2 guns to where they were originally purchased is a critical step in this investigation.
The traces revealed that those firearms were purchased days before and almost 1,000 miles away in Russellville, Alabama.
Agents were shocked by how fast these guns had traveled across 6 states and onto the black market of New York City's streets.
We refer to that short lapse of time from when the firearm moves from a legitimate channel to a criminal element as time to crime. The time to crime in most of the guns that we purchased was 2 or 3 days. That is a key indicator of an active firearms trafficking pattern.
Next, agents identified the person who bought the weapons in Alabama as 34-year-old Amy Clemens.
And we were able to make a connection between that purchaser and an individual named James Brady, who was a former Brooklyn resident who had relocated to the Russellville, Alabama area.
Alabama gun laws are weaker than New York's, but Brady had a criminal history and was prohibited from buying or selling guns anywhere. But that didn't stop Brady. He just got his girlfriend, Amy Clemens, seen in this ATF surveillance video, to purchase the guns in a straw buy.
Clemens had purchased approximately 20 firearms for Brady. Oftentimes on the same day or the following morning, Brady and Clemens would leave to come up to New York and distribute them on the streets.
With the smuggling ring exposed, the ATF coordinated a gun buy with Brady before more guns hit the streets.
In this transaction, Brady brought up 4 compact 9mm and .40 caliber pistols. Brady was observed walking up the street. holding a duffel bag. At that time, Brady entered the vehicle that the confidential informant was in.
What's up, baby? Heavy That's cool. How's everything, baby? Good, chilling.
The informant inspected them to ensure that these were firearms.
Yeah, official tissue, bro. You look at those, you're gonna be like, wow, this big. Light, featherweight.
I have four, right?
4 with the 4 boxer shells.
Brady was also offering up different items for sale.
I can get this new. It's a 357 revolver. It's a stub. It takes 357 shells and 38 shells.
Really?
Yeah. I can get Maz pump shotguns too. Pistol grips. 2 small ones. 2100. 50, right? 25.
Eventually, there was an exchange of money for over $2,000.
That's 2100 right there. Count it. Take care. Let me go take care of what I gotta take care of.
Brady had more guns to sell, and ATF wanted them all.
The confidential informant had placed an order for 5 firearms.
What up, baby?
You could see Brady's eyes lock on the money. His motivation was pure greed. So when he was looking at that money, it was the look of love.
So if I bring 3 of them, would you take 3 of those things?
Yeah.
I'll speak to you Friday, sounds good.
The ATF has new concerns. They are not Brady's only buyers.
Brady referred to other customers in Brooklyn that he was filling orders for. Because of that, the decision was made by ATF to terminate this case as quickly as we could, to arrest these individuals so we could prevent any firearms from hitting the street.
After the last ATF sale, Brady meets up with the straw buyer, Amy Clemens. ATF acts quickly. Once in custody, the ATF turned Brady and arrests several other New York gun traffickers as a result. James Brady was sentenced to 13 months in jail, and Amy received a sentence of 6 months. But more importantly, ATF agents were able to keep dozens of illegal guns from ever hitting the streets of New York City. Coming up on Extreme Smuggling, find out why legal gun shows across the country are an open market for gun traffickers.
No background check, right? Good, because I probably couldn't pass.
Why would you do that? Have you been bad?
Have I been bad? I'd rather not go there.
Each year, about 4.5 million legal firearms are brought into the United States. Nearly 40% of these are sold without running a background check from the buyer.
How does an illegal gun get from somebody who's selling guns into the hands of somebody who's going to commit a crime and might kill somebody you know or I know?
On average, 93% of firearms used in violent crimes are obtained illegally.
We had to do something about the scourge of illegal guns in this country.
It was clear criminals were obtaining their guns illegally, but the question was how?
Have we done everything possible and everything within the bounds of the Second Amendment to prevent innocent people from being murdered with illegal guns?
To understand how good guns go bad, the city of New York initiated an undercover investigation.
When Mayor Bloomberg took the oath of office, one of the implicit promises he made was to help keep New Yorkers safe. 85% of our crime guns come from other states. We have no choice but to cross state lines to protect our citizens.
In 2006, Mayor Bloomberg set up the nation's first multi-state firearms investigation to find out where guns used in crimes in New York were being purchased. The investigators believed crime guns were mostly bought in the Southeast and smuggled north along the I-95 highway corridor.
States like Virginia, Georgia, South Carolina that had very, very weak gun laws are the states that we typically get our illegal guns from, and that's why it's been dubbed the Iron Pipeline.
The Iron Pipeline funnels guns obtained from legitimate gun dealers to criminals in New York City who couldn't pass a background check required by law when purchasing a gun.
We want to make sure the gun is for you and that you're not a criminal, you're not a drug addict, and you're not mentally ill.
To avoid a background check, many criminals use straw buyers, someone with a clean record, to buy the guns for them. Mayor Bloomberg sent undercover agents to the southeast states to get an inside look at how easy it would be to make a successful straw buy.
Good. I was wondering if you could show me a 9mm.
We had two investigators. One went in and asked for help.
That's a 6 Sauer 226 9mm.
Comparison shopped, dry-fired guns, asked questions about what kind of bullets, what kind of firing power it had.
We're gonna need some bullets for that.
Okay. We're gonna need 2 IDs.
Gotta get her to do the paperwork here.
Okay.
Although the male undercover agent made it obvious that the gun was for him, the female agent, acting as his straw buyer, is the one who fills out all the paperwork and makes the final purchase.
Let's see. Answer these questions here and sign them.
Thank you, sir.
And you got your receipt, you got your yellow receipt, gun, ammo.
All right.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, though.
You betcha.
This straw buy was a blatant violation of state gun laws.
The good news is that about a third of our dealers, when they saw this happening, threw us out of their stores.
Well, she never looked at the gun. She was other places in the store while you were looking at it, and then you want her to buy it. I mean, I just can't do it.
They absolutely knew that this was against the law, but unfortunately, about 2/3 made the sale.
After Bloomberg's team exposes dozens of gun shops and unscrupulous owners, they go after another hotbed of illegal gun trafficking: gun shows. Gun shows are highly attended events where firearms and ammunition are bought and sold by private sellers legally without background checks. However, if the seller suspects the buyer would fail a background check, it's illegal to sell them a gun. Right off the bat, the results were shocking, as seen in this hidden camera footage.
No background check, right? Good, because I probably couldn't pass one.
Why would you do that? Have you been bad?
Have I been bad? I'd rather not go there.
So who buys from those private sellers? Criminals. People who can't pass a background check. It's like moths to a flame. So we went into gun shows in 7 states.
Are you a licensed guy?
No, he's private too.
If we were told they were a private seller, we would shop for the gun, just like we did in the other sting.
You do background checks?
No.
No background check. So no background check, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, good, because I probably couldn't pass one. That's good about the background check, because I probably couldn't pass one.
I don't care.
We told the seller we couldn't pass a background check, and yet about 2/3 of the dealers sold us anyway.
The investigation exposed weak gun show regulations that criminals exploit to bypass background checks and purchase weapons.
So you don't care about the background check, right?
Nope.
All right.
I wouldn't pass either, bud.
These gun show visits resulted in additional civil lawsuits.
We have this loophole that's so large in this country, and what it says is if you're a private seller, meaning you're not a licensed gun dealer, you don't have to do a background check. That loophole has been so perverted that it's big enough that you could drive a Mack truck through it.
It's not only street criminals that law enforcement is concerned about. These illegal guns could be falling into the hands of a more sophisticated and dangerous group.
A terrorist at any moment could go into a neighborhood gun dealer and purchase a gun, no questions asked.
Coming up on Extreme Smuggling, undercover agents put their lives on the line in a risky ATF operation.
Guns are like a cash crop for some of them.
To get illegal guns off the streets.
The bad guys have all intentions of ripping you off, and they were going to kill you anyway.
Gun trafficking can happen in the most unlikely of places, and when it does, it must be handled decisively by law enforcement. It's vital to get guns out of the hands of criminals. Augusta, Georgia is a historic city nestled on the banks of the Savannah River. But in the surrounding county, there was a disturbing trend, a spike in gun violence.
A lot of shootings, several murders had occurred.
Illegal guns found at crime scenes revealed a pattern of trafficking in stolen weapons. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office reacted immediately and began an undercover investigation dubbed Operation Fox Hunt with a single purpose:
The main goal of this operation was to get the guns off the street and away from the people who are not legally able to possess them.
They first assigned an undercover agent we'll call Jay, fresh from the police academy, and inserted him into Augusta's most violent neighborhood to get information from the inside. It worked.
He was able to expand into a bigger group of criminals, people that were involved in gang activities.
As Jay's street cred grew, he could start the next phase of the operation to pull guns off the street. The best way was to buy them.
So I just put the word into them that I was buying guns.
His clientele included gang members and criminals he met at a local pool hall.
The people that Jay began to deal with become more and more the violent criminals that we are targeting.
Jay quickly establishes himself as a gun trafficker, but he's operating all alone in a world of dangerous criminals. The department decided he needed a partner.
He was outmanned and possibly outgunned, so they brought me in as backup for him.
Now working as a team, Jay and Lowe set up shop in a neighborhood apartment that was fully wired for sound and video.
We moved to the 5 apartments, which was much more secure. We had more cameras set up.
We can have a better vantage point for us, our technical team.
It helps when it's time to prosecute. You can't dispute you on camera doing it.
Initially, business was slow.
We started buying some of the guns from the same offenders.
At first, to get people to come to the apartment, they were a little hesitant. They started thinking, okay, something might be wrong with it.
The money Jay and Lowe were paying eliminated any suspicions, and the flow of guns coming through the apartment was astounding.
They would be from hunting rifles to assault rifles, a lot of altered firearms, sawed-off shotguns, even sawed-off rifles. These guys clearly did not know what they had. It was a $5,000 rifle that they sold for $200. It just expanded from there. We had people from all over Augusta coming to sell firearms and narcotics.
Guns were like a cash crop for some of them.
People can pull up in the parking lot, pull out 2 or 3 guns out of the trunk, and just walk across the street to our apartment, and they just hang out. When you make them comfortable, they'll reach out to the other friends that they know. They can get you more stuff.
After hours of incriminating video footage and hundreds of guns smuggled out of the hands of criminals, the Richmond County Sheriffs decided to pull the plug.
Roughly 3 years into it, we decided that we were going to take the operation down.
I personally don't know of any other undercover agents besides Jay that went in and did operation for that long.
The intense undercover investigation resulted in over 70 arrests and took close to 200 guns off the streets.
Most people just play it because it was nothing to fight against. It was all on tape, all noted. You just had to take your time.
The operation was successful because it took guns from the criminal and made the streets more secure for Richmond community. Gun running was even worse in nearby Statesboro, Georgia, where the violent crime rate was 150% higher than the state and national average. The problem was a huge proliferation of street guns. To combat this problem, ATF launched an operation codenamed Statesboro Blues to buy back guns from criminals.
Our target was the absolute worst criminals in Statesboro, Georgia. The people who were armed, pulling triggers, the people who were committing robberies.
If they could get the guns off the criminals, the violence would stop.
We put out the story that we are arms dealers, that we make money buying guns cheap off the street and selling them for a lot more money.
In just a few short weeks, they opened up a local head shop.
The name of the store was Smoking Sal's 2. The store sold a little bit of everything. Car air fresheners, drug test kits, pipes, hookahs. We had a pool table, and we situated our counter in the very back of the store.
A direct line from the front door so that we could see who was coming in and what they were carrying.
Every customer that came into Smokin' Sal's 2 was recorded by surveillance cameras. Word soon got out that the head shop was just a front for a more lucrative and illegal enterprise.
Once the criminal element understood that we were interested in purchasing firearms and narcotics, people were pretty brazen.
The individuals selling the firearms would come in, look around the store, always check for cameras. They would come up to me, usually ask me if I had the money, if I was still interested, and then they would hand me the product.
We had one subject that came in with a shotgun and a .22 caliber rifle wrapped in a blanket. In the middle of the day, parks in the parking lot and walks through the parking lot like he's holding fishing poles.
This shows how comfortable these bad guys get with us.
And to them, it's about making money, and it's about greed.
there's a grim reality to working undercover.
If things go bad, even the most well-placed cover team in the world won't get there in time to save your life. They'll get there in time to avenge your death in all probability.
ATF agents ran the store till the market ran dry, and then they closed shop. They had documented each buy on video, and with names and addresses, they started making arrests.
We purchased 107 firearms in a 9-month period. We indicted 57 federal defendants and over 30 state defendants. All 57 federal defendants pled due to the strength of the case.
170 firearms had been taken off the street during the storefront operation. Violent crimes involving illegal weapons dropped dramatically. Coming up on Extreme Smuggling, an illegal LA gun dealer gives us exclusive access to his deadly world.
That's gonna get him off you, I'll tell you that.
And later, drug cartels order up some military-grade weapons on the streets of Laredo, Texas.
They're not going hunting with these. These are used to fight a war.
The world of illegal gun smugglers and weapons dealers is a dark and dangerous place. Our cameras were granted unprecedented access to a street-level gun deal conducted by an illegal gun trafficker. There were no undercover agents or law enforcement officers present during the taping of this transaction.
Right now, I'm looking for some heat, which is a strap, a gun. Because I have a felony, I cannot go to a gun store. They run a background check, and with the stuff that I have on my jacket, they wouldn't allow me to have a gun.
Unknown and potential dangers are inherent in illegal transactions, and the police are constantly combing these neighborhoods in an effort to bust these dealers.
If a person wants to buy a gun to protect themselves in their house and protect their loved ones, I would definitely buy a gun at a gun store. But if you're gonna go and use it on a person that's no good or has done you wrong or whatever, of course, you're gonna have to get a street gun.
At an undisclosed location somewhere in Los Angeles, an illegal gun dealer, who we'll call Carlos, waits for his next customer. No signs, no street address. You just have to know where to find him.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What you got for me? You got some heat? What you looking for today, man? Show me what you got, man. I gotta see what I could afford. Well, I got a couple little toys right here I could show you. Got a little 38 right here. How much does that one go for? I let it go for 300. I got a 25 Beretta. How much does that one go for? Let that one go for like 250, 300. And the other one? I got a 380 right here. Give you that one for maybe 400 for that one.
Carlos is basically a one-stop shop for illegal guns.
That's gonna get him off you, I'll tell you that.
You got anything else?
Yeah, I got a little specialty items. You wanna look at?
Specialty items? All right, that's what we're talking about. That's good heat right there.
I got a little bigger stuff. You want to get a little more high power. You know, you want to get into a war with somebody, this is the one you do it with. You don't even know what you're looking for, man.
The AR-15 is a semi-automatic assault rifle capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute.
I might be interested in this one, though. Up close and personal. I need something like that. Something that fit right in my pocket.
Whatever you want to do, man. That one's perfect. You put that in your pocket, you can't even see nothing. Nobody even know you got it.
I think I'm gonna get this right here.
Mexican drug cartels' insatiable appetite for high-powered weapons and endless supplies of cash has put the once sleepy border town of Laredo, Texas, at the center of the gun smuggling world. It's estimated that more than 100,000 illegal weapons cross the border undetected every year, and many pass through the streets of Laredo. In 2010, ATF agents are notified that several Mexican nationals have been looking to buy some military-grade weapons.
Specifically, machine guns and grenades to be taken to Mexico for the cartels over there. So that's how these guys got on the radar.
These are assault-type weapons. They're not going hunting with these. These are used to fight a war.
The ATF sets up an undercover field operation to respond to this request.
The
first undercover ATF agent had already established contact with them. He was acting as the middleman at this time, whereas my role was the actual purchaser.
The Mexican buyers are looking to purchase a deadly arsenal, including 30 hand grenades and 4 machine guns.
Keep in mind that these guys have an infinite amount of money that they use every day to arm themselves. They're cartels, and they're there to terrorize, and they're terrorized by using these firearms and these grenades.
Approximately 1:53 p.m., getting ready to do UC deal for the sale of the machine guns and grenades.
After 3 months of negotiations, 2 different cameras are set up to record the actual weapons sale.
We're operating in a place that's enclosed. We have complete control over it.
They've now approached the car, and we're showing them weapons and that they do function as full auto machine guns. We're also showing them the information on the grenades and that they are indeed grenades. At this time, negotiations are continuing. We want to verify that these weapons are indeed going across to Mexico. I'm explaining how the weapons work.
Tell them that there's 2 safeties.
The buyers are impressed by the high quality of the weapons and push for more business.
Tell them, bro, I can get more off the base, but I just, They were already placing orders or asking if we could provide an additional 200 hand grenades the following week, and continued to say that they would buy everything that we had. So they went back to their car where they retrieved the amount of money and brought it back to us.
Once we get the money, I count the money, make sure I'm getting the money that I need, then that's when we let them walk away with the firearms.
Be careful, bro.
The ATF had no intention of letting the guns and grenades enter Mexico.
We're not letting those weapons go anywhere. You'll see them move to the car. They pick up the bags of the machine guns and the grenades, and they start to move off to their car. As soon as they pick up those weapons, that's when we execute arrests for those individuals.
Video evidence sends these smugglers to prison.
At the end of the day, these guys are bad people.
From violent drug cartels to street-level dealers, law enforcement agencies face an ongoing battle to keep our cities and streets safe from illegal weapons.
It is a game of cat and mouse. We see new ways that they are trying to obtain weapons, and we try to be one ahead of them.